And over to the important stuff now. So Marsha is the Executive Director of CADRE, which is Collaborating Agencies Disaster Relief Effort. CADRE coordinates Santa Clara County's network of nonprofits that prepare to assist after disasters. She's been involved with public safety and community outreach for over 40 years, including Santa Clara County 911 dispatch that we just heard about, Santa Clara County Office of Emergency Management, City of Cupertino Office of Emergency Management as well. After retiring in 2010, opened a successful emergency management consulting business that supported organizations in the Bay Area. Past president of the California Emergency Services Association, Santa Clara County Emergency Managers Association, and Adelante Toastmasters. Oh, that's a good one. Rotary partners with Toastmasters. Marsha is a certified emergency manager, a licensed ham radio operator, and has a BS in business from San Jose State. Passions are community safety, education, nonprofit coordination, and problem solving. So with that, I will turn it over to you and we will kick your slides off.
Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Marsha Hovey, and I've actually been doing this for 40 years, and I don't have any hobbies because this is my life. But it's very exciting to be able to get people from having to call 911 for help, which is where my life started, to having them know what to do so that they don't have to call 911 and actually prevent emergencies from happening. And so that's really exciting for me, and it's fun to work with like-minded people that want to make sure that we're all safe. I enjoy Rotary. You have a lot of the same mission that we do, and just, making the world a better place. And so I'm happy to be here. I have this first slide is just to remind you that in 2 days is the Great California Shakeout. It's actually the international shakeout. There'll be over 53 million people around the world that are practicing for earthquakes. In California, we have over 10 million right now. And if you go to that website, shakeout.org/California, you can register any organization, any individuals, to say that we're going to practice drop, cover, and hold on in honor of that Great California Shakeout event. And then that just makes the numbers keep going up, because raising awareness is really important. The earthquake itself is going to do what it's going to do, and what we have to have them kind of be mentally prepared to handle it. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of my commercial slides about who is CADRE. Next slide. So CADRE is one of 58 VOADs in California. It's voluntary organizations active in disaster. It's a national group of organizations that coordinate locally within their counties the faith and nonprofit response to disasters. So typically government is taking care of the infrastructure, and they're making sure people get sheltered, and they're trying to repair things. And then nonprofits are helping the people. So the nonprofits are providing resources and food and comfort and taking care of pets and all of the things that people need after the disaster. And our goal is that we don't cause a big disaster, the people don't, because we know what to do when an earthquake happens. And then that allows us to have it not really be a disaster. It's just an inconvenience for a few days or weeks or months. But still, the goal is to not have anybody die. The goal is that we all come out of it alive, and that we all come together to take care of each other. All right, next slide. Some of the things that we do when there is not a disaster is tell people how to be better prepared. And one of the things is to download the MyShake app on your phone. MyShake is a free app that is designed by UC Berkeley and the USGS. It's only used on the West Coast right now, so it's still being test piloted in Washington, Oregon, and California. It will warn you before the ground starts to shake of a 4.5 magnitude earthquake or higher. And it, depending on how close you are to the epicenter, you could have a few seconds to up to a minute of warning. And so the thing about it is that it's the first time that we're actually able to get ahead of the shaking, which means we have more of an opportunity to be able to protect ourselves without getting hurt in that initial scary space when the shaking starts. So gives you a chance to get off a ladder, get off a roof, step away from a big glass mirror or a window. So and just mentally be ready that the ground's about to shake, because that is kind of a disrupting feeling. It's like the ground is not supposed to move, and when it does, it's very disorienting. So it's a free app, and I highly recommend that everyone download it. Next. While we were promoting that app, and still are, we created some earthquake safety information. There's on our website, we have earthquake safety information in 20 languages, and 10 of the languages we also have a video that accompanies it. And we're just looking for more people to speak the other languages, but we saw the need for more translations. The majority of information, 99% of it, is put out in English, and that does not reflect our diverse community. And if you're expecting people to know what to do when an earthquake happens, you need to give them the language to learn it that they're most comfortable learning in. And so we've started that process. This is all free. If any organization wants to share it, you can brand it yourself. We'll give you all of the original files. We just want the information to get out there. Next slide. We also have wildfire information, same thing, and it's all recording on that too, and trying to educate people on how do you get ready for a wildfire? What happens when your alert SCC, which is the county notification system? What happens when that says evacuation warning? Well, what's warning? Warning is you better pack your car and be ready. And then if it's an order, there's no time to pack anything else. You need to get out now. And if you're really ahead of the game, when the warning happens, you leave and you go to a part of town that's safe. You go to a coffee shop and you watch it on the news, and you avoid all of the traffic. And then if it's clear to go back, then you can. And if it's not, you're already safe. So, but there's a lot of information in multiple languages on that too. Next. And air quality. We do have a one-stop shop for air quality. You just click on the link in preparedness, and there are about, 8 different websites that measure air quality, some of them down to the address level. And it's really important to understand that when the air looks bad outside, it's probably going to be bad for your lungs too. And so anything that you can do to wear a mask for a while or stay indoors with the air filter going so that you don't inhale those small little particles that can cause cancer and other things 10 or 20 years from now when you can't point it back to this fire. So there's nobody to blame it on. You've just had an unfortunate situation. So we want to make sure that you're just aware. And we kind of have a diverse list of information because, number one, we should all be preparedness ambassadors. Everybody needs to know what to do and encourage other people to be prepared. But also, we need to build each other as a community, a unified community where we're all friends and we're all working toward common goals. The earthquake doesn't care who you are. And when it happens and you walk outside your front door and you look at your neighbors, if you've never met them before, you're going to meet them because you've now shared a very scary, common experience. And it bonds people. Those kind of terrifying experiences bond people. And so we would just like everyone to get to know each other and be bonded in good times and not just in bad times. All right, next slide. One more. United Policyholders is a nonprofit that um, supports people that have insurance after a disaster. They advocate for them if the insurance company is pushing back on what they believe they're entitled to from their policy. They also have educational videos on their website that um, that talk about that. They'll just walk you through your policy, and here's the part you should look at this part and see how much you get for that, and look at this part on this page and how much are you getting for that, or are you not insured for this piece. And it's good to know that before you need it so that you can actually update your policy if you need to. They don't sell insurance, but they're really working very hard right now to make sure that everybody can get wildfire insurance, because I got mine canceled. And then I had to pay double $2,000 to get from another company. So they're working to make that better. They're working with insurance companies. All right, now into the meat. Oh no, that's our website. Sorry, cadresv.org. If you just put cadresv.org, and you can scroll through the videos on the preparedness page, or there's an earthquake page and a wildfire page. And okay, so what we're going to do tonight is just talk about what to do when there's an earthquake, because most of the preparation is mental. And there is a gland in the base of your brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is your fight or flight reflex. And when you're faced with a novel situation, something that you've never thought of before, and it feels threatening, you're either going to freeze or panic and run. And so the goal is to put some information in there, because so let's say the earthquake happens, you've not ever thought about it, you're panicked, oh, the ground's shaking, what do I do? What do I do? And then your amygdala starts searching through the files in your brain to find something that would be an appropriate action. And if you've never thought about the appropriate action, it just keeps spinning. Or you do something really, that makes no sense at all if you were not panicked, but in that moment, you run out of a building with things falling down, which is not, you don't run when the ground's shaking. So I'm just going to start with one scenario. Okay, so what do you do to protect yourself if you're in bed and the ground starts shaking? Go into a doorway. Okay, other ideas? Stay in the bed and cover your head. Yeah. And that's the thing about doorways. If there's not a door in the doorway, it's a fairly stable place. But again, you don't want to move from where you are when the ground starts to shake. So you're in a nice, soft, cushiony bed. Just cover your head, and hopefully you don't have things on the wall that are going to fall on you. But then now the shaking stops. So what supplies do you wish you had? Okay. Shoes. Okay. So why would you want shoes? Glass is broken. The Northridge earthquake in 1994, that was the most common injury, because that earthquake happened at night and people jumped out of bed barefoot, and there were more cut feet than anything else. So take a moment, keep an old pair of shoes under your bed. Instead of throwing them away, put them under your bed, put them on before you get out of bed. If you have other people in the house with you, remind them, earthquake, stay in your bed. Don't have them come running to you. And your pets will do whatever they want, and let them do whatever they want, because they're really smart about protecting themselves. And they will bite you if they're afraid and you try to confine them or protect them. They want to protect themselves. Okay, so water. How much water should you have? Yeah, hot water heater is a really good source of water if you know how to get it out. Yeah, if you Yeah, with the tankless ones, we're starting to lose capability. But you need a gallon per person per day at the minimum. So that's 3 gallons for 3 days. We want you to at least to have 3 days. Start there. If you want to go beyond that, feel free till you feel comfortable that you can survive as if you're camping for a period of time. So um, a case of bottled water is about 3 gallons. So if that, one of the easiest ways is to buy 3 cases and just use it as you normally would. Now we're trying to not be so environmentally irresponsible and have all that plastic. So be creative. Think of how you can do it. Is, you know, do you have some kind of a larger container that's a gallon container that you can fill up 3 of them and then pour it out um, in your plants and refill it so that we're not having to waste water. But again, you have to, we need you to have water, and you can get it out of your water heater, but if you don't clean out your water heater, there's a lot of sediment stuff in the bottom. And so you need to know how to boil the water or clean the water with bleach. And our website tells you how to do all that. Just click on the earthquake preparedness section. But you might need to filter the water because it's got particles in it, but you can purify it. And if you do have water in your house that you've stored for more than a year, it's still okay to drink if you purify it first. But ideally, you change your water out once a year and keep it in a cool, dark place. All right. So now you're in your house, you know you've got water. What's going through your mind now after you've got your shoes on and you're like, what's the next step? What do you want to know? Okay, so you're concerned about possible hazards at your house, and one of the big ones is the natural gas. So if you have a right, so broken line. So again, this video on our website will, talks you all through it. The video is about 30 minutes long and it's got visuals, so it probably would be a little bit more fun to watch. But you have to know how to turn off the gas and when. So if you don't smell gas, you don't have to turn off the gas. And if you do smell gas, you do have to turn off the gas. Now, you might turn it off at an appliance. It might be the appliance that's leaking, but you might need to turn it off at the main. And when you go out to the main, you're going to see the dial spinning unusually fast. That's going to tell you there's a leak, or you're going to smell the gas, or you're going to hear a hissing sound. So you need to go out and look at your gas meter when you are using some gas. You're either drying clothes or whatever your heater's on, however you use gas in your house, and look at what a normal spin looks like. And then you'll be able to tell if it's out of control. And then you shut it off with a wrench, 12 to 14-inch crescent wrench. And you turn it just a quarter turn so that so it's perpendicular to the pipe. So normally they're both flowing the same, but you just stop it like that. It turns either direction, so you can't over tighten it. It's great. But you can also test that anytime by just moving it like a quarter turn just to make sure it budges. If it doesn't budge, have the utility company come out and oil it and get it working again, because you don't want to have it be really difficult to get it to turn off. Okay, so there's a wrench attached. Yeah, so now keep an eye on that in case it rusts. Galvanized steel, so it's good. Or yeah, and if you don't have teenage neighbors that think it's funny to turn people's gas off, because you just gave them a great opportunity. But yeah, have it nearby. I keep one in the trunk of my car because I don't know where I'm going to be. If you're in a townhouse or apartment, you might have a bank of gas meters. And so you need to see if you can tell which one is yours. But if you go out to those gas meters and you smell gas and if you can see which dial, you're shutting it off. And probably have that conversation with the other people that live there. And if there's a property management company, make sure that they're all on the same page, because you don't want to blow up. And any spark, if you turn on a flashlight, if you light a match and there's gas in the air, it explodes. Okay, so so hazards. There are other potential hazards. Could be broken water pipes that you might need to be able to turn your water off. The house itself might have structural damage. How would you know about structural damage in a house? Okay, what kind of cracks? You need to learn more. She knows what she's talking about. So the cracks in the house, if there are diagonal cracks off of large windows, that tells you that there's the structure has been damaged. It might break the window, it might not. Also, horizontal and vertical lines. So if you go to open a door and it's stuck and it's never been stuck before, that tells you that something about the house has changed shape. If you go outside, which you always should just go outside, look around the house before you decide it's safe to stay in it. Because if you see the ground broken up along the foundation, or you see cracks in the foundation, or part of the roof is off on the other side, you just want to make sure that you identify everything that might be a problem. Okay, so, and again, there's more to talk about that, but I'm just giving you kind of the high level, just so to make sure that you stay safe. This picture is actually a house in Los Gatos in the Loma Prieta earthquake. And you can see that the stair railing has shifted about 2 feet away from the staircase. Not to mention that, the pillars made the house fall down, but that's structural damage. You don't want to stay in the house, because another aftershock could cause it to collapse on you. What else? So if you go outside, what do you expect to see if this was this big, massive earthquake? Or what will you hear? Okay, car alarms. We'll hear car alarms. We might hear sirens. We don't have a very big force of first responders. If it's a citywide, countywide, half the city, half the state, if we aren't the biggest problem, we're not going to get any help, because when it's that kind of a situation, they have to provide the greatest good to the greatest number of people. So if there's a school in session or a church in session down the street, they may go there, but you might have problems too, but they're not big enough. There aren't enough people impacted. So that's why we have to kind of be self-sufficient. We have to recognize the hazards, know how to stop the hazards. How about if your light switches are sparking? Yeah. So if you turn off the breakers, then you know that nothing's going to catch fire, and that's a big thing. You want to make sure that you don't start a fire. Hopefully you don't use real candles in your house, because if they tip over during the shaking, it's probably not the first thing that you're going to think about after the ground stops shaking, and you could start your own fire. So you don't want to do that. Okay. Okay. So how about if you are in your car when that big earthquake happened? Now we heard it is kind of fun. It's like a roller coaster. Yeah. Unless you're on an overpass and it's like, oh, can I get off here? Yeah. So if you're in your car, what are you supposed to do? How will you know it's an earthquake? Some people didn't know. They just kept driving. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like you have 4 flat tires. So the car is just very uneven. And so you want to pull off to the side, preferably not under an overpass. Get off to the side for a couple of reasons. One, because other people may not be able to figure out what the problem is and crash into you because they're distracted. Also, you want to have police and fire to be able to get through because you may just want to sit there for a little bit till you know how bad it is. And, you know, is it safe to go anywhere, or should I be trying to head myself back home? And then keep your seatbelt on, because it protects you, and your car is protection. So stay in your car. And then once the shaking stops, everyone will get out of their cars and look at each other, and you'll all become best friends. And if anybody's trapped in their car or there was an accident, you know, people are going to start trying to get folks out of cars. So it always comes down to, well, we're all here. We're going to have to do what we can to help. How about if you are in an arena, like a basketball arena, and the earthquake happens? How do you protect yourself? Yeah, panic kills more people than earthquakes do. And you can definitely get trampled if you try to head. And probably everyone is going to head toward the entrance that they came in. There are many exits from an arena. And when you go to your seat, look at where they are. So wait for the shaking to stop, because people will be panicked and they'll try to run while the ground's shaking, and they're going to fall and get hurt. And then we've got to treat injuries that there's no reason. But, you know, your fight or flight reflex, if you're not sure what to do, it's like, I need to run. I need to get out of here. Not the best choice while the ground is actually shaking. Whether or not the arena has plans for earthquakes, you know, it's likely that power would go off. So now you're in a pitch black stadium with a bunch of people screaming. And can the owners get your attention down on the court? Can they tell you what to do? Or are we all just going to start mass hysteria? You don't know. So you have to just kind of keep your wits and be aware, and what are my options on where I can get out. And is it safer to just stay tucked in my seat here for a little bit until people kind of get out of the way and then go out and exit? So it really, it's kind of depends on the situation, but you do want to think about it before you just run. How about if you are in your kitchen? How would you protect yourself in the kitchen? Crawl in the dishwasher. No, I mean, if you think that's an option, and if you think whatever options are, you need to test them. So you actually have to see if you can get into your dishwasher. Okay, you know, if you say you're going to crawl under your desk or your table, you have to make sure you can actually get under there. If you're in a wheelchair, you don't have that option. You lock your wheels, you protect your head. That's all you can do. But and the running to the door, it's like, if it's the big earthquake, you won't be able to take a step. You're going to get thrown to the ground. And so the faster, drop to the ground on your own, crawl under something nearby to protect your head, and just hold on to that object so that you both move together, then you're going to be safe until the ground stops shaking. Now you're in the kitchen and the ground stops shaking. What does your kitchen look like? Flying saucers. Yeah. So could you do anything to prevent that? You could put child locks on yes. Yeah. Not now. It's like, get the drill out. It's too late. They're all on the floor, but yeah, if you think ahead of time, what could I do to prevent what I'm imagining would be the damage in this room? If there's a way to secure the cabinets so they can't just pop open, then you save all your dishes, you save the cleanup. If you have any really heavy item that might fall off the top of a cabinet, maybe that's not the best place for it, or maybe you can get a little Velcro strap and stick it to the wall so it can't actually fall over. There are lots of different ways to secure heavy furniture. I'll tell you one quick story. My daughter is in the Air Force. She was stationed in Alaska a few years ago, and they had a big earthquake. She called me. The ground had just shaken, and she called me, and boy, did my adrenaline just go through the roof. She goes, "We just had an earthquake," and she's at work on the base, and she said, I didn't know what to do, but I remembered when I took a class from you, you told us to dive under the desk." So she said, so I dove under the desk, and the bookshelf came crashing down onto her chair because it wasn't secured to the wall. So she was kind of trapped for a minute till she could kind of get her way out, but at least she was not injured. And so anything that's big and heavy, televisions, um, aquariums, big armoires, anything that's heavy that could fall over, you want to put something on the back of it with Velcro. There are other ways to do it too, because I know you don't want to damage it, but make sure that it's not going to fall over on someone. And that's the other thing is if you have a chimney, put a piece of plywood in the roof where the chimney would fall, because there have been cases, even in the Northridge earthquake, where chimney fell through the roof into the living room, killed a child that was sitting in front of the fireplace. So that that little piece of plywood breaks the fall so that it doesn't actually come all the way through. And so you can ask yourself what if questions all day. And you can come up with good answers all day. If you don't come up with a good answer, you can call me, you can go to the website, you can ask somebody else and brainstorm it, because there are answers to all of the questions. And once your amygdala knows what to do, then you're more than halfway there. And then just get some of these supplies together. So the handout I'm giving you is, if you do not have an emergency supply kit yet, I don't know if I can make it any easier for you. This is a supply kit from the dollar store. You can go to the dollar store and buy all of these things to make a kit for your pet, a first aid kit, and a general first aid or general kit for yourself. And hopefully that will inspire you to think about it more and think about, well, if I had to camp outside for 3 days, what else would I want? And that's really, it's all it is that you're going to rough it for a little bit. If you have medication, make sure that you have some of that always with you, at least a 3-day supply. 5 would probably be better. And I keep my in the glove box. And then every time I go refill the prescription before I get out of the car, I change those pills. So I always have fresh pills. But you do what works for you. You've got to turn it into a routine now. And then every time you see a disaster on TV, go check your kit, because it's important, and we don't think about it enough. And so if you can have something prompt you because someone else has had a bad day, you can make sure that you're ready for your bad day. And I hope we never have to, but all right. Any questions? I know it's a lot.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions from folks on the phone or on the Zoom? Nothing? Yeah, a lot of really good information. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.